like Hindu, the name, is not what you gave yourself. Kashmiri Pandit, we call ourselves Bhatta. We were Bhattas. We refer to, even today each other, we refer to each other as Bhatta. So we are Bhattas. But in the plains of North India, we were distinguished from the rest of the Brahmins as Kashmiri Pandits.
What about the Kashmir shaivism?
Kashmir shaivism is a distinct stream of shaivism. It will take a long time for me to explain, so suffice it to say, and great old Adi Shankara himself encountered this unique Shaivite stream in Kashmir. Both Shaivism, both Adi Shankara's and ours believe in Advaita. For Adi Shankara, there was a Jagat which was Maya, and there was a Brahma which was the ultimate truth. In Kashmir Shaivism, we demolished even this duality of Maya and Brahma. We said what you call Maya is the expansion of that Brahma. It's the Shiva and his play. So even the contradictions that you see, even the life that you live, the duality, the apparent duality is a myth, but it is not separate from the truth. It is an expansion and the leela of that truth. One of the consequences of this is there are no sannyasis in Kashmir. They don't renounce. Most of our scholars are grahasthas. They practice it. They live it. But they don't don ochre. They don't, because it's not the Maya or the myth of the world that they want to give up. They live in that and practice it and observe it and be a sakshi to it. So, very crudely, that's where Kashmir Shaivism is distinct from the Shaivite philosophy outside Kashmir.
Why Kashmiri language is written in Persian script?
So,
Why Kashmiri language is written in Persian script?
yes, Kashmiri language actually had a script of its own called Sharda.
That is the original.
That is the original script of Kashmiri language. And let me give you some information about Kashmiri language. The oldest known text in Kashmiri goes back to 11th, maybe 10th century. It is called Mahanay Prakash. In that text, you have Sanskrit verses and corresponding Kashmiri verses side by side. Then there is another body of work which follows it. It's called Chumma Sampradaya, where there is a reverse. You have Kashmiri verses first and then corresponding Sanskrit verses. Then there is Sukhduk Charita. So the literature in Kashmiri language is almost 1,000 years old. Hindi doesn't have that old literature. You can understand what classic antiquity of literature means because your literary tradition goes far, far older. But Kashmiri language is the only language in the 8th schedule of Constitution which is not taught in any school. It has no textbooks, it has no teacher, it has no curriculum. It has no newspaper, it has no magazine. How do you trust the present lot of Kashmiris in Kashmir to look after this tradition? They are bent on annihilating it. They want to Arabize it. They want to Persianize it. They don't want to do anything to do with India. They always look for links in Central Asia and far west. because anything that reminds them of Kashmiri roots makes them uncomfortable. So they have now started changing the names. Anantnag is called Islamabad. The Shankaracharya hill is called Takht-e-Suleiman. There is a place called Vicharnag, which is where now I started with Puduvarsh Varathikal. You know, in Kashmir, around this time, almonds are in bloom. And almond trees have beautiful flowers, those pink and off-white flowers. So the tradition in Kashmiri Brahmins was to go to this place called Vicharnag. Now, Nag Sanskriti, they used to worship springs. Okay? So this is a huge spring where they would gather, they would sing, they would dance, they would also interact. There would be shastrarth, and people would enjoy this interaction. That place was called Vicharnag. I went there 2 years back. There is a board there called Firdaus. The name is being changed. Temple properties are being encroached upon. Any residue of our presence there is being erased. History is being rewritten. Language is being stuffed with Persian words and Arabic words. Srinagar, incidentally, is now being referred as Shahr-e-Khas. Srinagar is the city built by Ashoka more than 2,200 years back. It is called Shahr-e-Khas, and I must congratulate you. The present agenda for alliance between BJP and PDP refers to Srinagar as Shahr-e-Khas. That's what we are faced with.
What about Laleshwari?
Laleshwari lived between 1320 and 1370. Laleshwari was our Mirabai, I can say. She actually deciphered the complexity of Kashmir Shaivism into a folklore and made it a popular faith. Her vaks, whatever she said in 4 or 5 lines, were called vaks. They were like Akka Mahadevi's vachanas. They became popular and they lived in popular memory. People you'd quote them in order to prove a point or in order to chide someone or reprimand. They were part of Kashmiri society. When Islam came, it was around the same time when Islam came. When they saw society so completely immersed with Laleshwari, they tried to appropriate her. Like today, yoga is being appropriated. So you have Sheikh Nuruddin, who started as a disciple. He actually says, I am her disciple, she is my guru. He wrote, and what he wrote are called shruks. Shruk is again a Sanskrit word. It's a form of verse. And he, in fact, reflected the same philosophical strain that Laleshwari propounded. Because he was a converted Muslim, he is today considered as the voice of Kashmir. Because he needs to be placed parallel to her with a Muslim name, it is much better. But nobody ever recalls any of his shruks. So he is picked up as Nundrish in order to talk about Kashmiriyat and secularism, because Nund Rishi is what he was called. His original name was Sheikh Nuruddin. And nobody listens to what he had to say. Not one shruk of his can be recalled by any, because they are not taught. They are being used as political symbolism.
I had
No, somebody there.
Somebody there. But in 1976, when I visited Srinagar, I found that inherently the Kashmiri Pandits have an what they told me.
I have heard that too. Let me tell you, Dogra Hindus of Jammu and Kashmiris within Kashmir, in terms of language, literature, lifestyle, values, upbringing, everything are like chalk and cheese. And don't ask me to say who's chalk and who's cheese. But they are contrasts. They're big contrasts. Jammu is a different terrain. It's a very warm place. Dogra region is an extension of Punjab. Culturally, socio-culturally, Dogra region is, the Dogri language itself is a cousin of Punjabi. Okay? So, in terms of lifestyle or whatever, I mean, a Kashmiri Pandit would never have liked to go to Jammu or live there, ever.
But why, what is the connection
Um,
between
um,
the Muslims? Why they say that we have got more common things with the Muslims than the...
There are not too many common things with Muslim. You must understand, a community which is trying to survive for 500 years has to live like a tongue lives between two jaws. And it is inherent. It is the survival impulse. When they say we have to live with them, live amongst them, we have to belong here. Let me tell you, in Srinagar, in Kashmir Valley, there were never any riots. Never ever any riots. Because it takes two to riot. 5 to 10% Hindus can't riot with 90% Muslims. Cannot. So there were never any riots. You just lived with insults and humiliations and discrimination and somehow survived. And you were trying to survive generation after generation for 500 years. In that, your reflex response to any such question, I'm not surprised, would be this. Even today, you know, there are people in denial. You take a hostage who's been in captivity for a month and you start calling whatever he says as Stockholm Syndrome. Here is a community in hostage for 500 years. It is got singed into their minds. My mother would worry when I would go out and play as a boy. She would tell me, please don't fight. No matter what he says, please don't retaliate. Please don't get hurt. Please don't go out. Do you have to go out and play? Now, if I grow up with that, you can't imagine. I sometimes, there was Article 370, there was a question.
Yes, sir, I wanted to know, understand what are your thoughts as a Kashmiri Pandit on the Article 370 of the Constitution?
Article 370 has been discussed to death, analyzed, and all have concluded that this is an extremely pernicious law that has no place in our constitution. Simply to say, what does Article 370 says? Let me take you through 3 steps, which is what I had to do with a very senior friend, mentor and guide who was now trying to persuade me in the last few months that listen, try and re-understand and review your position on Article 370. I said, is Article 370 a constitutional provision in Constitution of India? He said, yes, it is. I said, does it apply to only the state of Jammu and Kashmir and no other place? He says, yes, it is only specific to state of Jammu and Kashmir. And doesn't it say that this parliament, which is the highest decision-making sovereign body of this nation, has right to every square inch of land called India except the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Should this position remain? Just on this, we don't have to go clinically in terms of therefore what happens and what doesn't happen. Just because this exception is made, you have actually circumcised this nation's will about that land and about those people.
Last question. Just one last question. Yeah, last question.
Hello, there is a belief and story that Jesus came to visit here and he did penance and... Hello, why are you laughing?
She laughed and you got the answer.
See, I got a book written by English person and shows proof that somebody is a tomb is there and it is being taken care by a Muslim. Don't laugh just like that.
No,
Say, I'm asking you whether if he has got any answer, let him tell.
I have come across this. I'm not stranger to this theory. Yes, there are claims being made. In fact, I'll tell you, there is a gentleman called Fida Hasnain. He's written dozens of books. He's the biggest hoax going around in Kashmir. He says Kashmir and Kashmiri people actually are one of the lost tribes of Jews. They were called Kash. And when you look at the list of Jewish tribes, there is no such name called Kash. Then he says Kashmiris called themselves Koshur. Koshur is a derivative of the word kosher. Kosher means halal meat eating people. I said, by this stretch of logic, Helmut Kohl, the earlier Chancellor of Germany, is a Kashmiri Pandit with a different spelling. I mean, strange scholarship. So there is a woman who's done if you give me your email ID, I'll forward you the interview she's done. This fellow quotes that lady and that lady quotes this fellow. She's in West, he's here, and the two actually stand some kind of witness to each other for propounding this nonsense.
Sharada temple.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The temple, now people are going from here on the Saraswati temple.
Yes.
Sharada.
Yes, you're right. Sharada Peeth, it was called. Sharada Peetham.
I happened to read an article by a Muslim who visited that temple.
His name was Ayaz Rasul Nazki. I published that in Prasnath.
Yes, yes.
I've carried the pictures also of that. He traces his ancestry to Kashmiri Hindu Brahmins in 14th century. Sharada temple is in the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. It is on the banks of a river called Krishna Ganga, which has been now renamed Neelam. It is forbidden for us to go there. You don't get the visa for Pakistan. If you do, you don't get the visa to go to Pakistan occupied Kashmir. And it is part of that so-called Neelam Valley. The village is called Sharad, and that's how the name Sharada came. And it is that Peetham where Adi Shankara went, and his Peetha Rohanam happened with the Dakshina Dwar opening for the first time for him. Yes. So my ancestors welcomed Adi Shankara from here, and he ascended that Peetham, that chair. Yes. In fact, I was at Kanchi a few years back, and Shankaracharya ji, Swamigal, was very keen to do something for Kashmir. And he's doing a great deal. So I asked him, where is this inspiration coming from? Why do you want to? We are far away people, we don't understand each other's language, we don't look like each other. He says, Adi Shankara was our ancestor. When he went to Kashmir, your ancestors gave him the place which we still recognize as a great honor done to us. So when you, their successors, are in trouble, how can we not reach out?
Thank you, Sushil Panditji. It was a very emotional and heart-rending speech. Yeah, really, applause, standing ovation too. And I would only pray and hope such a type of situation does not emerge anywhere in this part of this country. We don't have to go through, although there are a lot of potential flashpoints we are seeing in Kashmir, in Assam, in West Bengal. We only hope and pray such a situation never comes. Thank you very much. I am also happy to tell you that Shri Sushil Pandit ji will be in Chennai for the next couple of days, although he has got a lot of appointments. But in case anybody would like to meet him over the next couple of days, he's leaving only on the 31st. With this permission, I would like to inform. He's staying at New Woodlands Hotel. So he's got appointments the next couple of days, but I'm sure he will be able to spend some time with you, you know, if you could want to go and meet him, he would be very happy. Thank you.
Having animals hunted constantly. And I don't want you to rely on Shrivar for a moment, because he is dismissed as a Hindu historian. I would urge you to just pick up the chronicles of Persian historians who've written about Kashmir. There are two books. One is Tawfatul Ahbab and another is Bahristan-e-Shahi. These are two Persian chronicles about Islam's exploits and conquests in Kashmir. And they are meticulous in their detail. In fact, they are so honest about the resistance that the natives offered them. They said they're so obstinate. We want to bring them light and they want to stay in darkness. And they fight for it. So each temple demolished, each vihara ravaged, is meticulously mentioned there. What is very interestingly mentioned there is also the zeal of missionaries. There was a guy called Shamsuddin Araki. He was a Shia missionary. His disciples told him that these Kashmiris are very tricky. You know, because they fear you, in front of you, they accept Islam. They read the Kalma. And once you go, they go back to their old ways. So how do we deal with them? He says, please find out what is the way they will never be able to go back. How do I make it possible? So they go engage a lot of knowledgeable people, intellectuals in the society, and they find out that there is one papa for which there is no prashchita. You know, multiple lives you are condemned if you commit that sin, and that is Gaumansa. So Shamsuddin Araki says fine, and he's also told that listen, it is the woman in the family who's the culprit. She hides all the books and the texts, and she's the one who keeps the tradition going. She's the one who observes all the festivals and everything. So he would go to a village, establish a camp, and call the households and ask them to bring their cows. He would force them to slaughter those cows themselves in front of them and ask these women to cook, and then force the entire village to consume that. It is this, decades of it, which Kashmir has enjoyed. So these 6 exoduses happened, in that kind of backdrop. And you can stomach that. We were under a hostile rule. There was no democracy, secularism, equity, human rights. So you could take it. In 1817, when the Islamic rule ended, it didn't end by itself. One of my ancestors, Birbal Dhar, he went to Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Maharaja Ranjit Singh had built an empire in Punjab, neighboring Punjab. So he told him, listen, Pathans have made life miserable for us. I have been allowed to travel because I have left my daughter-in-law and my wife and my mother behind. Only then Pathans could trust me and allow me to travel. I have come with my son. I know this place, I know this king, I know his capability. Please send your armies with me and you will win a kingdom. Maharaja Ranjit Singh said, how do I know that it is not a trap? He said, please keep my son with you here as a guarantee, as hostage. And Zorawar Singh was sent his general. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh's army could chase away Pathans from Kashmir, and Kashmir was liberated from the yoke of Muslim rule. And how Maharaja Ranjit Singh come to put together an empire, a Sikh empire. In fact, we Kashmiris sometimes take credit for even the Sikh religion. In 1671, Mughals ruled Kashmir. They had a governor called Iftikhar Khan, and the ruler in Delhi was Aurangzeb. Naqshbandis told him to start the proselytization process. They said, where do we start from? He says, Kashmir is the place where all Hindu scholars head for whatever reason. They had found out that in Kashi also, when a student would complete his studies, as a ritual he was asked to take a few steps towards Kashmir in his graduation ceremony. Kashmir is, Namaste Ma Saraswati Sharade Kashmir Purvasini. Kashmir is the seat of learning. He said, start from right there, where it all begins. So Iftikhar Khan began very aggressive proselytization, a campaign to cleanse. And when Hindus ran helter-skelter, one of my ancestors, Kriparam Dutt, went to the governor and said, what do we do? He says, there are only three options with you. In Kashmiri, they say, relive, galiv, ya tseliv. Relive is to assimilate, galiv is to die, and tseliv is to go away, run away. And if you run away, you leave all your possessions behind. He stealthily escaped with a group and came to Anandpur Sahib, a small town which was started by the father of Guru Gobind Singh. Sorry? Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Guru. So Guru Tegh Bahadur told Kriparam Dutt that go tell this governor, why go in for retail conversions, person by person or family by family. Tell him that our Guru is Guru Tegh Bahadur, you convert him, we will all convert en masse. So they arrest Guru Tegh Bahadur